Hello, everyone. So today it's all about high-profile breaches. I mean, this is an issue that we talk about more and more, it seems. Not so long ago, we were talking about the Tesla breach. That's from the summertime. This weekend, it was all about British Airways, right?
Well, they seem to be very unlucky. Last year, they had this major problem with the IT systems due to the explosion in one of the power supply facilities, but this year it is more about actual data breach. So they declared that their customers using the BA website, their data are exposed, their data are in the hands of the criminals. Of course, the investigation is ongoing. Yeah. It seems it's not really the privilege abuse, but this time it's more like API hacking technique, which becomes very, very popular. Still, the breach is happening. The breaches like these are touching the high-profile companies like airlines, like the banks, like the financial institutions, and it seems they are not going away. It's something that is that we'll be facing more and more in the future, and controlling this kind of events become one of the major issues for any large enterprise.
And it's always this incredible amount of data, right? Massive amounts of data. All these things that are taken away, and it's then obviously the reputational damage, right? That's also a major factor in these breaches.
It's reputational issue. It is a regulatory problem. We have more and more regulations which are trying to emphasize the importance of protecting the personal data of the customers. In Europe, we have GDPR. There is a similar regulation being worked on right now in the US. Some countries in Asia are also working on this kind of personal protection laws. But in general, it doesn't matter how many regulations we have in place. What matters is if the organizations are actually able to weigh in the right risk factors and controls that they have in place in order to prevent this kind of data breaches happening. But as we can see, it is not really effective so far.
Right.
And if you look at those breaches, they are not only large in the size of the amount of data which is leaking out, but they are large also as of the profile of those companies. Those are the largest financial institutions like Equifax last year in the US. By the way, recently the US government has just published the official report, the post-mortem report after investigating this case. And it seems that the attackers were able to hide themselves for over 70 days. So over 70 days, they were slowly leaking out this huge amount, over 140 million of user records, with enormously sensitive data, because it's not just your name or your address, it's your whole credit history and your background, whether you are credible or not in the eyes of the financial institutions. So as you can see, this amount, the sensitivity of the data is increasing. We are living in this kind of world where without this electronic processing of our data, we cannot function. We cannot use the financial institutions. We cannot buy stuff in the electronic shops. We cannot buy the tickets for the flights. So obviously, the attackers see the huge value in getting access to this kind of information.
Of course.
And this value is compensated by the risk they take into account by attacking this kind of systems.
Another thing is, like, we always talk about compliance here, right?
Yes, we do.
And it seems like with the report you mentioned as well and all the high-profile cases we've seen, that at the core of all these issues tends to be the human factor, right? It's as simple as that.
It seems that more and more picture that is painted by all of those reports is that it's just a human error, human mistake, human negligence, human lack of competencies. We are facing the situation where even those largest companies investing millions of dollars into technologies that should help them to prevent this kind of events, they are failing at the human level.
Yeah, exactly. So if I could just come in here, if the major corporations, the major companies, the major industries are struggling with keeping these data breaches in check, we're struggling and trying to keep the companies and data safe. So how is there Has there any hope for the smaller companies, the SMBs, the little guy? Is there anything that can protect them?
Well, the large enterprises, they can spend money on the technology. They can do the screening and the right training for their employees. They can have the lawyers to write the right contracts with the contractors. For the SMEs, SMBs, the situation seems tragic. I would say it's tragic because they are dependent on all of those service providers. They should comply with certain regulations, comply with the contracts, terms and conditions. And they are failing. So what those SMEs can do? What comes to the rescue? It's really complex answer, but at Fudo Security we are working right now on a solution that could facilitate this control process. What is actually happening when such SMBs are working with third-party contractors, administrators working remotely from far away, this kind of solution should be easy to use, should be scalable to the level of operations of such company, organization, and it should be easy to give you this kind of visibility. Who is responsible? Who meets the required level of service? Who meets the promises that they are making when you're contracting with them?
So you heard it. The threat landscape, although quite daunting, there are good resources and tools on the horizon that we as Fudo Security are happy to provide. So thanks for watching.
Thank you.